This is Justice, and I'm here to talk about how do you fight random? Now, random's a bit of a catch-all term, and we usually use it to refer to people who are just doing things and we don't know how to stop them because they're all over the place. It's like, why did he do that? Why did he grab me there? Why does he keep sweeping? How do I stop it? It's very confusing. Simple answer, it's not easy. There's no surefire way of fighting a quote-unquote random player. A random player is somebody who does things we don't expect. They don't seem to have a game plan, they don't seem to have a strategy, they are seemingly just doing things over and over. And this is a bit of a different tutorial for me because these are some matches I actually played recently where I fought a quote-unquote random player. And to this person's credit, they were doing things that I wasn't prepared for. I hadn't, practiced as much as I probably should have, so I was getting caught out in really stupid ways and I was losing and I was getting very salty about it. And random, as a term we use sometimes in the FGC, the fighting game community, usually means someone who's doing things that we're just not prepared for, we just can't stop. And that's not to say that most players are predictable, because most players aren't predictable, but it's this added layer of unpredictability that's really hard to fight against. Now, there's several things you can do to hopefully predict a quote-unquote random player, but even then, you're not guaranteed to win. So while this is a bit more unstructured, I'm going to try and hopefully explain ways of quote-unquote dealing with random players. Now, a random player isn't, like I said, someone who literally just does things at random. We call it random because we are not expecting it and they're just happening at times that we often can't defend against. But in actuality, people have patterns. Like, even people who are quote-unquote random will do things in certain ways. Remember, in a fighting game, there's only a limited set of tools, so people aren't just going to, pull out something that's not even possible within the game, unless you're playing something really wacky. So what you have to do is sometimes you have to abandon your previous game plan, completely adapt your gameplay, and just hunker down and wait to see what they're going to do. Often, unless a random player has this crazy set of tools that, you just can't see coming, more often than not, a random player will do certain things to open themselves up. So if you basically back off a little bit, you calm yourself down, start to think, start to notice what patterns are they doing, what are they, doing over and over, what can be exploited. If this person is playing in a certain way, the chances are that randomness is just their way of playing that you're not used to yet. And if you begin to recognize what those patterns are, you can start to make the comeback slowly. Now, in the match, this is what I tried to do, because after playing about, say, 4 or so matches, I began to notice that this randomness, while it's completely unpredictable on my part, I don't normally play people who play like this, I was beginning to notice certain things this player was doing. It's still hard, of course. Like I mentioned in the beginning, there's no surefire answer of beating a random player, but if you begin to see the things that they do and you're able to counter them by just being a bit more patient and not letting the person walk all over you. Once again, the trick is to switch it up a bit. Maybe go from trying to read to trying to react. Instead of trying to predict your opponent because they're unpredictable, try to react to what they're doing instead, and just simply wait to see what they're doing. Just play your entire game around reacting to what they're going to do. Now, of course, it's easy to say all this, but obviously the actual act of doing it is really the big difference. But I definitely think that in fighting games, it's more than just simply knowing all the tools or knowing all the players and knowing all the fighting game mechanics. So that's what I want to talk about today. So hopefully this was useful in some regard. And yeah, that's it. So if you have any feedback, let me know. Tell me if you fought any random players and how you deal with them. This has been Justice. See you later.